Hello and welcome to the Social Recruiting Show. I'm Katrina, Collier, social recruiting trainer and speaker, but apparently I keep freezing, so I may disappear in and out of this show today. Who knows? I'm super excited today to have Joanne Lockwood, but of course, with my gorgeous co-host, Audra Knight, employer branding genius, with us. And Joanne Lockwood, thank you. I finally met in person last week, which was super exciting. Thank you for joining us. I'm too scared to say anything else in case I freeze.
Yeah. Thank you for putting me on. It's really good. Thank you.
Yeah. So I have seen you all over the place. You're keynoting. You're all over Europe. I'm sure US is next if it hasn't happened. But can you tell us first, before we kind of talk about what you talk about, what you're doing with See Change Happen?
Well, I set See Change Happen up just over a year ago with the purpose generally to promote trans awareness and inclusion into businesses and organizations of all sizes. Kind of my passion was that I wanted to help people have a better experience in the world than I had. If I can help one more person, one family, one employer get it right to make someone's life easier, that's kind of the mission really. And just use my consulting background and my business background to try and put it into sort of language that people understand.
So how did you get started?
Yeah, what did you do before that?
I ran an IT company for 25 odd years. So.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
I think we got the company to about 1.2, 1.3 million for a couple of years in a row, and we employed 18, 20 staff. And as I describe it, I kind of got past my sell-by date. I started getting a bit mouldy. All the people used to do was phone me up and tell me how their backups weren't working or how their systems were down and how it was all my problem and how I was always at this beck and call 24/7 without responsibility. So I kind of decided that IT was no one was happy with it, I don't know. And then coupled with that, I suppose my own sense of self, my own gender, how I saw myself in the world was kind of at the same time evolving. To couple the two together, it was kind of I needed to make a life decision, life change. So I all my stuff in the blender and just pushed the button, and I forgot to put the lid on, of course, and it squirted. My career, my job, my income, my family, everything kind of went. And then I sold my business partners off to buy me out, fortunately. So I had I wouldn't call it a large wad of cash. I'd call it maybe enough to keep me going for a couple of years. That gave me the opportunity to invest in my future and invest in what I'm doing. And I'll get to the point now, obviously the cash is running out. That was nearly up to 2 years. I've got to actually start raising some money at this rather than just traveling the world speaking for free. So this is now what I speak. I run seminars, I run workshops, and I consult, on policy and do webinars like this. And it's been great.
It's funny though when you're doing what you love though, how even if the money is less, it's still okay because you get out of bed every day and you're doing what you love. And
it's no longer a job, it's no longer a career, it's passion. And talking to people, meeting people over the last couple of years has been amazing. It's a real, why didn't I do this years ago? It's like, this is so liberating.
Are your clients mostly in Europe or all over?
Predominantly in the UK, although as you're probably aware, I was at Social Recruiting, Smart Recruiters. I was at Hiring Success for them in Berlin in September. I was in Unleash in Amsterdam a couple of weeks ago for their World Expo, and I was at Social Recruiting Days with Quadriga in Berlin last week. So yeah, I'm kind of getting around. So yes, predominantly the UK, London focused, in the UK focused, but I've been talking to some great people in Germany, in Poland, in Estonia, in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, and also I'm talking to people in Australia. And let's talk about RecFest next year in Oz, in Melbourne, and I hope I can get on the stage there and get a platform in Australia.
Wow, that would be good. And wait, so you haven't been to the US yet? I'm going to make that happen. I have an idea.
No, I'm waiting for the invite and plane tickets.
Right. I have an idea, but I'll make sure that they pay travel for sure.
In the US, but
yep.
No, I'd like to explore the US because there's a lot of awareness needed amongst certain people in the US. Not a very LGBT or certainly trans friendly place at the moment, and I think it's worrying a lot of people. And I don't want to turn this into a political, because it's not, for me, it's not political. It's about an identity thing, and I'm not here to justify anyone's existence. I'm just saying, this is me, this is people like me, and this is what makes us happy, this is what makes us sad. And all I ask them is just treat us like people, because we are people like anybody else.
Now, how do companies know if they have a problem? I feel like a lot of companies just might not even have any idea that that they're not doing a good job at this.
And people say to me, well, we don't employ any trans people. We don't have gay people in our company. So how many people are employed?
They say that?
Employ 200 people. Well, odds are you have at least 1 or 2 trans people, and you have maybe 5 to 10 people who are LGBT. So the fact that maybe they're not open is down to your culture and ethos as a company, where they're comfortable being themselves. And you can evolve your own corporate culture, then people will trust you, and they maybe want to share who they really are with you. And that's, so people, whenever they say we haven't got a problem, or we don't have trans people, well, what about all the people that have trans partners, or trans children, or trans parents, or trans friends? So for every one trans person, there's 20 people around them that are part of their circle. And you think how many people how that intersects with. And everybody, people keep telling me everyone has a gay friend. And I think the truth is anyone who knows me has a trans friend. So it's kind of there's a lot of people. And
it's funny, isn't it?
Can
you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to talk before and clearly wasn't there, and re-thing out, and so you're there to me. So yeah. So how did you get into the recruitment side? Because I take it you didn't start out there, but you're doing a lot there.
Yeah, my background was IT, and I kind of went set up. I thought the big area that I wanted to focus on was kind of HR policy. A lot of small medium businesses don't necessarily have access to big D&I departments or big strategy. So I was looking really at small medium enterprises around HR, around legal. And I think I got lucky. I bumped into Morgan Lobb of Vasida about a year ago, and I helped him run a roundtable work with HS2. And from there, Morgan introduced me to Bill Boardman. And I got invited to run a track at True London in April. And that was kind of my introduction to some of the crowd that mutual friends of ours we know in this sort of space. And then I was in True Amsterdam. I missed the flight, which is a real dull moment. But I managed to turn up at the end and ended up doing an ad hoc, off the cuff talk to the bar, and there was 100 odd people there. And then I did RecFest with Jamie, and then RecX with Stephen and Louise. And kind of from there, my profile, I've got people who have joined into the conversation. I've done a lot of webinars like this. I've done a lot of interviews with HR companies, and just got out there and networked. So it's kind of just built organically, really, out of kind of nothing.
Now, when did you actually hone your skills, though? Because you're so good. We talked about we've both done Toastmasters, and you're amazing at timing and just really impactful timing. Did you start working on that as soon as you got your first gig, where you're like, I got to figure this out, or have you always been speaking?
Truth be known, I transitioned in my life just over a year ago. It's November now, isn't it? January, February last year. So that was when I kind of made the change. And I was sort of thinking, well, this is what I want to do. But can I stand up and speak? Yes, I can, because I knew I did after-dinner speaking for many years in my previous life. I was the national president of an organisation called the Round Table, which is a global organisation for men. So I knew I could stand up in a dinner jacket and speak to men in dinner jackets drinking port. I did that for many years. I told lots of jokes. I was able to be adaptive, write speeches on my knee, and be apparently a little bit witty. So, but could I stand up in a dress? Could I stand up as a woman and say this? Could I talk in front of a room? I didn't know. I'm very, very conscious about my voice, and I was thinking, well, I don't sound particularly female. So I saw someone talk, and I just said, how do you get into public speaking? And they said, well, put it on your LinkedIn profile and go for it.
Right.
So I thought, well,
right. My point. How many times have I made that point? If you don't have the word there, nobody can find you.
I thought, well,
just jump.
How do I do this? And I thought, well, if you're a doctor, you hang around with doctors. If you're a professional speaker, you hang around with professional speakers.
Yeah.
So we joined Toastmasters, and I joined the Professional Speakers Association. And then you just talk. You stand up, and you become in a safe environment where people will give you feedback. They'll evaluate you, and people say,
so good.
Speaking too quickly. You don't speak loud enough. You don't project to the back of the room. Or actually, it'd be really good if you pause. And then they say, actually, it'd be even better if you can pause for 10 seconds.
Yes, that's hard.
It's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah. When you pause for 10 seconds, people start leaning in, going, and they listen to you more.
Yeah.
You create that interest, that also learning how to walk on stage and throw an immediate question or immediate hook into the audience and get everyone to go, and then you follow that up. And so these are all techniques that anyone can learn. The scariest thing is actually saying your first word. Once you've said your first sentence and you know how you're going to close, then it's just a journey of how you're going to take the audience. So yeah, it's kind of it's just technique.
Yeah, they helped me so much with filler words. You don't even realize you're saying them.
Oh.
And my first time I stood up there, I think I did 26 filler words. Then they point them out. So once you get it, then you can actually start to fix it. And then the second time, I think
you took ums and okay.
Like so yeah, a lot of people do so.
I don't think
but by
so bad.
speech,
Okay is the bad one. I catch myself saying
I don't like
okay.
so.
Yeah.
I think I've got over the ands and the ums and the ohs and the I'm now worried about so's. I say a lot of so's, and I'm also conscious that I tend to do something like this with my face. And I think I watch videos back of myself and I'm thinking, oh gosh, what am I doing with my face there? So
See, I think you can get to a point you're too polished. And I watched one recently, and I couldn't. I didn't get into it at all until there was the part where she was completely and utterly genuine, which was about 5 seconds of the whole thing. It was too. I think if you don't have the occasional or the occasional something, it can be too polished, and therefore it doesn't. You know what I mean? It doesn't resonate with people. It's like, oh, come on, you're not being real. Audra knows the other person I'm talking about. Has Joanne gone really quiet? Oh, there you are. She's back. Whew. Oh, it's all happening today.
No, I think people who, when they walk the stage, they almost like stand here, then they make this very deliberate walk to the other end of the stage to do something, and they make this very deliberate walk back to the middle and do something. It's kind of almost
I do laps. I need to stop.
I do laps too, but it's not intentional. It's not.
You know,
if we're speaking, we can't hear Joanne speaking.
Yeah, I just figured that out too. So we have to make sure we're quiet.
I don't know if that's the headset, because that's not. We don't normally have that problem. We all talk over each other.
It could be that I'm getting. If I turn my volume.
No, it's okay. Don't worry.
We'll just be more quiet.
Katrina Kibben has a question here. Like, so, what issues have you got coming up that you're looking to solve, Joanne?
Issues with
what companies are coming to you and saying, like, we have this issue, can you help us? And like,
I think it was going wrong because the sound's coming out of my laptop, not my earphone. So obviously, this when you're speaking, it's hitting here, and this is coming out. So
interesting.
That's probably what the problem is. Like, what issues? I think a lot of people say is that they're scared of getting it wrong. That's the first thing. I think a lot of times where trans people aren't included or struggle, it's because people do worry about getting things wrong. Yeah, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I offend somebody? What if we make the wrong thing? Or how is Joanne going to be taken by our staff? Or how are our customers going to take Joe? That's kind of the problems I'm seeing, where people almost they just don't want to get it wrong, and they then project their kind of trans fear on other people. I mean, I've had situations where people come to me and say, well, because I often say is, would you employ me? You know, we can go for a beer, we can have a drink, we can chat all night, we can do webinars like this, but actually, would you hire me? And people go, well, of course. I said, well, what position would you give me? Would you put me in your back office? Would you put me on the computer? Would you put me on this? Yeah, of course. Well, what if I'm field service? What if I'm going out to meet your customers? What if I'm your sales director? What if I'm going to close this big deal? And then suddenly people get a bit more nervous. Well, what if my customer doesn't like you? Yeah, people buy from people, and you're a different sort of person. You know, you're not the Joanne they're expecting, kind of thing. And And that's where people then have to sort of overcome their own biases. It's not just about trans people. I was talking to somebody the other day who actually promotes gender equality, and she's promoting gender. And she told me that what she does is she has a friend who is a very large lady. And she often tells her customers, oh, she's a really lovely person. She's very large, but she's good. And I said, well, why do you feel the need? Well, therefore, people do tend to out other people and say, well, my friend X is a large woman, but she's still great. So, well, why do you have to say that? Why can't you just let her make her own impression? Because what you've done now, prejudged her, given somebody else a picture of them in your mind. So what I don't want someone to say is, oh, Joe, she's fantastic. By the way, she's trans. She's all right. Yeah, it's kind of, really? Can I make that? Can I come out on my own? Can I create my own first impression, or do I have to let you do that? And that's kind of
wow.
Some of the pressure that people feel. They almost have to apologise for me, and that's where it becomes tricky. Or it's almost a hire. And they go, we've hired Jo, she's trans. We're going to take a risk on her, or actually, how we're going to now integrate Jo into the team, and what the team don't like Jo is. So we've got all these sort of dynamics that go on where I haven't got a problem with you, but what about other people? And that's where the challenge is just have to think about when they're doing D&I. It's not just about trans, it's about anybody. About cultural fit, about corporate fit, we talk about like-minded. And when it's too different, how does that person impact the team if the team's not ready? So what I would say is, don't hire somebody who's very different unless you've got that ethos that's ready to support them.
Yeah.
Okay,
because they won't be
I
happy when
actually think that it's Joe's headset that's causing me to not be heard as well.
Okay.
Audra, can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
do you just have a normal headset?
I could try going on to turn the.
I think it's your actual headset. Do you have like a normal?
Or what about just without it?
Muted. How interesting.
Oh yeah, but if she unmutes, that might work.
Okay, I've unmuted you. Joanne, no. We're coming through great. Yeah. She's reconnecting. Okay.
Can you hear me? Is that better?
Oh no.
Okay, so.
All right, so I'm just using the laptop mic now, so let's see if that works.
Yeah.
I'll have to play with that later. But
yeah, because every time I spoke, that was I had to reboot, and I think it weirdly was your headset. Really strange.
Yeah, I think it's because the sound's coming out the laptop and it wasn't coming out my ear. Yeah. So I think every time you spoke, it came here. Anyway, we're sorted now.
So what he was saying was like, okay, I'm going to pick on you. Don't take it personally. But Ben starts working for us. He has a Yorkshire accent. People don't like Yorkshiremen. Like, really? To say, oh, well, we've had someone start working for us, and we're, look, I'm sending Ben your way, but I'm sorry, he's got a Yorkshire accent. You mightn't understand him. Like, come on. But I can't believe people actually do that. No, see, am I talking to myself?
No, I can hear you. Sorry.
Nobody answered me.
Sorry. So that again, what are you saying? We're saying about Ben is your accent.
What I'm saying is, it was like what you would just say. Is there an echo?
No, I'm fine with you. No, you're good.
So what I was saying was, like you were saying, it's like, well, Joe's coming, but she's trans, or X is coming, but they're fat. And it's like, I could be saying, well, Ben's coming, he's got Yorkshire accent, you mightn't like that. He's adorable, by the way, accent or not. So it's like, what are we going to do? People will like you or they won't like you, no matter what.
Well, I don't think it's fair to be prejudged. Signposting about me to somebody else is showing your own insecurity.
Yeah,
because they're almost like apologising. Well, Joe's great. I like Joe, but you may not. But just so you know, I think she's great. Well, you had an opportunity to make a first impression with me, so can I have my own chance to make a first impression with somebody else? Whether that's because I'm trans, maybe because I'm a person of colour, whether it's because I'm whatever I am, whether I've got one leg. Joe's fine, but she's only got one leg. It doesn't mean to say that you have to sort of like point this out and signpost it.
Maybe they think that they're protecting you or helping you in a way. Obviously, you're not, but that might maybe it's just
I mean, I did an interim role in the summer through a recruitment agent, and I've known the recruitment agent for a long time, and he knows I'm trans. He knew me before, he knew me after, and he helped find me a little interim role. And he said, "Oh, it's okay, Joe. I've told them you're trans, and they're okay with that." I thought, well, thank you, but yeah. So now I know they're okay with being trans. But the fact that they're okay with it means they've had to make a decision, and they've actually thought about it and discussed it. And it's like, oh, Joe's trans, so when she comes in for an interview, we'll have to be really nice to her. It's like, can I just turn up and create my own impression, please? Yeah,
I don't want to be defined by it. So wrong. It's like nobody's business. Why should you even have to say, "Hey, I'm gay. Hey, I'm bi. Hey, I'm straight"? Hey, like it's none of your fucking business.
Why does it matter?
Like literally.
Joe's
none
okay.
of that. What you do in bed at night with your partner does not impact, well, unless you get no sleep all night. Otherwise, it doesn't impact your ability to do your day job.
No, right? It doesn't at all. And
so, I mean, I always feel, because like, thankfully nobody's ever asked me one way or the other, because it would be a complicated answer. But for anyone who has to go like, yeah, I'm gay, like at work or whatever, why? Why do you have to actually say? It's nobody's business.
No, not at all. It shouldn't matter. If it affects your ability to do the job, then don't hire me. But if I could do the job, what does it matter? I appreciate that. I appreciate that people buy from people, and that's sometimes where it comes from. If you put me into an account where it's a very blokey engineering environment that doesn't have much diversity, then maybe I'm going to people are going to give me the funny look. But in my experience, let me deal with that, because I've been. This is me. I can defend myself. I'm not going to get triggered easily. I appreciate some people might, but I don't get triggered easily. So let me smile. Let me say, hi, how you doing? And let me put them at ease. Because if you say, oh, Joe's trans, oh, I'm not sure about Joe, she may not fit in. I've lost the opportunity. I want to be my own salesperson.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a chance.
But they could say that to me because I'm Australian. You know, there could be 1,000 reasons, right? People are
right.
weird.
Yeah. But we say that with people who are maybe they're non-UK, they've come from Poland, or they come from Germany, they come from Netherlands, or whatever, and people say, oh, they've got a bit of a funny accent. It's all right, they're Polish or something, and you think, oh, Polish, and then you immediately biasing people just from where they come from. It's like, it's crazy.
Do you see it improving just with the times, or is it just not?
I think of a certain generation, they've probably already set their mindset. I think maybe a younger generation, they really don't care. It's not don't care in a don't care way. So don't care, it's not relevant way. It's you're just a person. And I think people are more used to working in a diverse environment. I mean, you look at, again, without generalising, if you look at Brexit, for example, the younger generation are more pro-Europe. So that I'd say that people are more used to dealing with people of different cultures, different upbringings, different race relationships. Most people who are young have non-binary, transgender, gender non-conforming friends of all races, and creeds and religions. And it's kind of normal. Whereas you go back 30, 40 years, most of Britain was just white middle class or white working class. There was not a lot of diversity in our communities.
And there's also
the country's diverse.
There's also that London bubble. So I can get quite shocked when it's okay in the cities, but you get out and you get into the countryside and suddenly you start hearing the bigotry, and it's like, whoa. Because I'm in such a bubble here, particularly like this Blackheath bubble, because it's the Lewisham Borough. It's so multicultural, anything goes. Literally, you walk down the street naked, no one would notice. It's that, and you get out of that, and it can be really eye-opening.
But I've had people say to me, "Oh, you live in a environment that's trans friendly or LGBT friendly," and I kind of say, well, Portsmouth is just a city in the UK. I've been to a pub in the middle of the countryside, in the middle of nowhere, and people they serve me a drink. If I ask them where the ladies is, they point in the corner. So I think people either get it or they don't. You can't say it's because they come from here, they come from there. It's out of their socialisation.
We are a bit sheltered in London. I think there's a lot more. Yeah.
But I've had cabbies. I've had a cabbie in London. I mean, this is a story about probably a year ago. I was in Soho in one of those all-night clubs in the middle of Soho with some friends, and I came out at, I think it was 2:00 in the morning, jumping in the cab to go back to the hotel, and the cabbie said, I'm in the back of the cabbie, right in the middle of Soho, and the first thing he says to me is, I don't meet many people like you. Can I ask you a few questions? I thought, well, if a cabbie in the middle of London in Soho has not met many trans people, we're obviously not permeating our message out there much. So I did a quick trans 101 on the back of the cab, and it was kind of enlightening. And I suddenly realised that maybe trans people aren't understood. I live in a trans bubble sometimes, a trans echo chamber. You kind of expect everyone to kind of get it. But yeah, I've been in pubs. I've been queuing up for a drink, and someone next to me says, "Oh, excuse me, love, do you mind if I ask you a few questions?" It's like, no, go for it. But that can become tiring for other trans. It's a bit tiring for me after a while, having to explain my life story 15 times a week. And not everybody wants to do that. You don't expect, what's it like being a woman? Well, actually, it's just like being a human being. It's just that I have longer hair or shorter hair. I just do different stuff. So it does get a bit tiring. But I'd say it doesn't matter whether you're in London or whether you're in Portsmouth or whether you're in the countryside or flying EasyJet to Amsterdam. It doesn't matter. People are just curious or they're not curious.
I'm glad you went that direction with that story, because I thought you were going to go the direction of the London cabs that I've got in, where they've been like, oh, those foreigners coming in and stealing our jobs and, going on and on, until eventually I've gone, oh, you mean like me? And they're like, oh no, not like you, love. No. Yeah. So that's where I thought you were going.
You were a good foreigner, yeah.
Yeah, because I have the right colour skin, and it's like,
yeah. But there is that bias. So if you're the wrong sort of foreigner, if you're the wrong sort of country, if you come from the Netherlands, you're great. If you come from Germany, maybe you're great. If you come from Poland, not so great. If you come from Turkey, then really not great. If you come from somewhere, so people judge people just on whether you're a good immigrant or a bad immigrant. It's awful.
Yeah. So what?
A lot of companies.
Sorry.
A lot of companies do training for teams on like biases, and I've heard that if just knowing that you have these biases and exploring them can help improve. Yeah. Is that true?
Yeah, I start talking about individuality, understanding that everyone's different, and then also we all like to live in our communities and our tribes and our packs. And therefore, we automatically put these barriers around us to protect ourselves and fight off the enemy. So that's where our reptilian brain, our very fast brain starts kicking in to protect us. We make these snap decisions, and biases do kick in. And you're right. The key thing is knowing you are biased. You have biases, and moving your thought into your slow brain, where you think, actually, no, I am being judgmental here. I am going to take a step back, and then start to question yourself on why you're saying it. So yeah, it's a lot of the biases we have are based on the brain filling in gaps that don't exist. We're confirmation bias. We're looking for something to work. We're looking for something, and it's no different to football supporters. I often say if you're an Arsenal fan or a Tottenham fan, if you see someone's an Arsenal fan on their CV and you're a Tottenham fan, you're immediately going to bias them. Well, they're the enemy. I don't want to hire them. So very often we're creating biases out of some silly things just based on our own who we are, and someone's different, and whether that's based on their name, how they look, or how they sound, there are biases out there.
I definitely would not employ anyone from Man City.
What, the whole of Manchester is that, or?
No, Man City. The football.
Man City.
Yeah, Manchester.
Yeah, Man City. Yeah.
Says the goal that lives.
But most Man United fans live all over the world, don't they? So most Man United fans have never even been to the UK, let alone Manchester. Sorry, not Man United fans.
That's a good point.
I wouldn't hire any of them because they all like football. So that's.
So we've got a football bias now.
Yeah.
We've got a football bias. So is it Aussie rules only? Is it Aussie rules only?
But I think it's so. Going back to the bias side, I think that involves being curious. So a lot of the work that I've done to resolve my childhood stuff has been like a lot of therapy, which has made me curious. So if I react a certain way, particularly if it's extreme, I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. Why am I reacting that way? But it takes a lot of work to stop and do that. So I don't know.
You've seen the two mindsets, haven't you? You've seen the sort of you've got people with a fixed or a closed mind, and you've got people with an open or a growth mindset. So when you've got a growth mindset, you see new situations, new challenges, and opportunities to learn, to grow, to think and analyze. Whereas if you've maybe got a more fixed mindset, then you're more prepared to stick to what you know. And it's really just trying to encourage people to just open their mind. Try a latte. I know you like Americano, but give a latte a go one day and you might like it. And it's just being open to just try different things in life.
Milk.
It is. It's just try and move yourself into that slow brain, open mind, discuss things. I mean, one of the things
you got me on milk.
Society has changed. We don't have to, we've lost the power of rhetoric. We've lost the power of discussion.
Yeah.
It's now, here's my opinion. I don't like it. Block, spam, docs, whatever we're going to do on Twitter, we're just going to try and assassinate you and shut you down. We don't actually want to sit there and have a coffee and say, look, this is my opinion. This is your opinion. Let's have a chat. We don't do that anymore.
I think there's this fear thing. Like, I think we've swung too far the other way at the moment. So there's a lot of fear. You said it earlier about, like, you know, how do I address, how do I introduce, how do I phrase things? And so there's this, I don't want to have the conversation because, I'm scared I'll get it wrong. So, for example, when I came over here, the Australian Prime Minister was refusing to apologise to the stolen generation, which is the Aboriginal kids that were removed from their homes in the 50s. And I hasten to add there were white kids that were stolen as well. It was horrific. It should never have happened to anybody. I was got at by somebody who's of black descent and let rip at me over it. And then I didn't know how to speak to her because I was like, I am not racist. I can't help that my Prime Minister won't apologise. I think he should, but he hasn't. And I then, for years, was I can't say black person because I'll offend someone. It was so it's. I think it goes back to the training you're giving, isn't it? So
I think it is. And I do accept that some people who have had a lot of issues in their life because they've been oppressed, because they come in an environment where they have been harassed, victimized, bullied, or whatever, it becomes very tolling. You know, microaggressions, it wears you down, and you become very sensitive. And all I can do is be visible as a trans person. I hate the word role model, but just being visible, being out there.
You are so a role model.
I just try and,
You know you're a role model. A girl that fangirled you. Oh my God.
Other people may say that. Other people, I'm not trying to own that.
This gorgeous girl comes running up to me. Are you Joanne Lockwood? I'm like, no, she's over there. And then she went and stood near you. She wouldn't even interrupt you. So I went over and interrupted you to because she was like, she was, oh my God, fangirl. You are a role model. I hate to tell you that.
Yeah, well, okay, I've got some fangirls. Okay, thank you. But no,
which is great.
What we need to have, the way I see it is, if you say 100 people are trans, I'm prepared to be visible. I'm prepared to say I'm trans. I'm not going to hide behind who I am. Some people don't want to do that. Some people don't want to be visible. Some people don't want to be professionally trans. You know, I've kind of bottled it in a way because rather than hide behind and be apologising for being trans, I've just gone, hey, I'm out there, I'm doing this, this is me. So I'm kind of, in a way, I have a privilege why I can do that. Other people don't have that privilege where they're trying to get on with their lives as a person and not as a trans person. They just want to be, I see people rejecting awards for being best female actress, best female engineer. Actually, I want to be the best engineer. I don't want to be the best actress. And I don't want to be the best. I don't want to be the best trans woman. I want to be the best female entrepreneur, or the best entrepreneur who happens to be female, who happens to be trans. I want to be the best public speaker or the best keynote speaker, not because I'm trans, but because I speak well. People like me. I'm relatable, and I've got a message that hits home. So I'd like to be trans last. A person with a trans history. But whilst I've got this mustard in my sandwich, I might as well use that spice to give me something extra. You know?
So this is a little bit off topic, but what would be your advice to someone who is trans in a company and doesn't feel at all like they can, reflect that?
We're talking about somebody who is not open.
Right. But maybe they want to be, but they're nervous and they don't know if the company's going to. Maybe the company will react well, or maybe they won't. But,
It's a challenge. I know many people who are in some companies that they're very senior, board level, global responsibilities, who are trans. I know some people who've got some very senior positions, and they're really worried about being open, because if they're open, they're worried they're going to lose their status, they're going to be discriminated against, managed out, pushed out, whatever. So if your organisation doesn't create this impression that it's an easy thing to do, then you're going to be really worried. To me, I often say to people, it should be no different to walking into your office and saying, I'm pregnant. And the reaction is, wow, that's fantastic. When's your baby due? Oh, that's amazing. Do we need some time off? What's your plans? What are we going to do? When do you want to work to? Do you want to come back? those are really positive conversations. You know, you walk in and say, I'm trans. The conversation should be, wow, fantastic, Joe. That's amazing. I'm glad you told me that. I'm really, really pleased that you respect me enough to tell me and you trust me. So, right, take a seat. What do you want to do? What's your plan? Yeah, do you want to transition now? How do you want to play this? What's your timescales? Or do you want to just come back next week when you've had to think about it? Just make it very matter of fact. But if you walk into the office and the first thing you say is I'm trans, they go, oh my God, what do I do now? Quick, phone HR. How am I going to deal with this? And then HR goes, I don't know. We've never had a trans person before. Panic. Quick check with our lawyers. What if we get it wrong? Companies need to have this policy. And I hate the word trans policy. Who needs a policy for being a woman? Who needs a policy for being old? I don't want to see policy for being trans. I want to see people policies that have a section on how to help people transition, how to cope with that. But companies should be training people in their organizations from top to bottom about basic stuff. What makes me happy? What makes me sad? Things that make me happy is I get called Joanne. It makes me happy that I'm called she. It makes me happy that I'm treated as a woman. It makes me sad if I get called sir, if I get called mate, if I get called my old name. Those make me sad. If I'm surfing the intranet and I find an old photograph of me or people laughing at me on the Facebook or something, that makes me sad. But that's no different to any other person that is being bullied or harassed for how they look or how they sound. So, just understanding what makes people happy and sad and stamping it out. No banter, no bullying. Too often, there's so much parody of trans people on television, in the media. Obviously, the States has loads of press at the moment, and in the UK, there's a whole lot of campaigns in some of the Sunday papers, Daily Mail and Sunday Times, where they're debating trans existence based on this Gender Recognition Act reform, and trying to call into question as whether we should have any rights. But what we often forget is trans women are just half the spectrum. There's plenty of trans men. There's plenty of people who are non-binary. There's plenty of people who are genderqueer or gender non-conforming. And we're all being sort of marginalised or not forgotten. Trans men are often forgotten. And we always focus on trans women because we're easy to demonise, whereas other people just get on with their lives. And people don't really need to be hassled in the way we are.
Why wouldn't you have the same rights as a male or a female? Like, what?
Human.
Just like a human.
I don't want to get political or justified, but people perceive.
But too, because it's an education.
Trans people as being invalid. And some people perceive trans people as being invalid. It's the presence of. I say mainly it's about trans women, not about trans men, because I fully understand there are some women who have had a tough time in life, and often that tough time is caused by male individuals. So they can feel very threatened, very anxious, very insecure around people who are male. And what they see is people who are trans as being male and therefore a threat to them, which could build up their anxiety. They're worried that people who are trans women are maybe going to invade their space. And maybe that trans men may use the excuse of being trans to come and invade their toilet, come and invade their shower, come and invade them, and then they have no right to question that person because trans people have rights. And what I'm saying, well, there are actually more examples of aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters causing abuse. There are actually more examples of people of certain religions causing abuse. There's actually more examples of school teachers, other coaches and other things causing abuse than me. I just want to go for a pee. I don't know about you. I want to walk in there, shut the door, sit down, do my thing, wash my hands and go. I'm not looking for a party or get my camera out and do anything in there. I'm more scared of the toilet than you are.
Yeah. I'm seeing more and more the bathrooms that it's like
neutral.
All the pictures. Like, at least in where I live. I love it.
Yeah. The offices I've been into recently are like that as well.
Yeah, it's just a toilet. And it's people say, well, all this gender neutral toilets is so complicated. I said, well, do you have two toilets at home? Do you have a male and female toilet at home? No, you don't. You just go at home and people use the toilet. It's no big deal,
I'm the queen of doing that, and there's the queue for the ladies and the gents is empty. I'm just straight in the gents. I'm like, I need to go. Yeah. It's the same.
Why do you get in trouble for that if other people are getting?
I don't care if I get in trouble for that.
I've seen some very athletic women in nightclubs using a urinal, and it's amazing to watch.
There is no way this body is capable of that. cannot get
but I've seen.
That's how many pranks I've had.
I was not expecting that to come up in today's show. That's awesome. Now I'm trying to work out how the hell they do that. Right.
But as I said, this is how crazy things are. I mean, we make these judgments, we make these decisions, and a lot of it's based on what if. What if this one person out of a million? And I think, well, hang on a bit. What if it's the other way around? What if nothing happens? The majority of the time, nothing happens. Trans people have existed since the beginning of time. Trans people have been using toilets since toilets were invented. And now we're talking about it. Why we talk about it? It makes no odds. It's down to people with agendas. Whether I don't know whether that is based on religion or whether it's based on socialization or fear or their own internal struggles. I don't know. But it's
fear, insecurity, internal struggles, all of that. Just
upbringing.
So I stopped reading the paper when Trump came in, so I didn't know about any of that. I find that horrific. It actually makes me feel sick that people can be so, wow. And particularly with my upbringing, there's a lot of abuse in my upbringing. So it's just like, oh, God.
I know, it's crazy. I mean,
I'll share a loo with you anytime, Joe. Anytime. Like how ridiculous.
I know. They're just...
Sorry, I'm still
the
getting over
conversations
that.
in the ladies is far more exciting.
Aren't they?
There's the gents, everyone just stands there looking at the wall. If you go to the ladies, it's like a party in there. I can understand why you don't want men in there. Reckons,
Why do girls always go together? Oh, it's crazy. So how about in the recruitment process? Because we've talked a lot about with companies. Are there some fundamentals you'd love to see us change that we could immediately go boom and that's better? It's around the spot.
Yeah, I think fundamentally it's about having an inclusive process.
Yeah.
I'd say the biggest barrier, I mean, as I say, I know many trans people, and the struggle they have is transitioning in their current job. What's going to happen to them? The next anxiety is having to apply for a new role. Because at the time you apply for a new role, you've kind of, whether you out yourself in advance, you're going to have to out yourself at some point, or some people may well have what's called passing privilege. They look fantastic in either as a male or as a woman, as their voice, their hand, or just their whole mannerisms. And unless they disclosed they were trans, you would never know. Well, that's great. But many trans people don't have that luxury is the wrong word, just that capability. So often trans people will be visible. Yeah. And it's obvious. Yeah. So what they want to do is they want to know that they can apply to an employer. The employer is open. The employer has other trans people. I mean, who wants to be the first? Who wants to be the only woman in an organization? Who wants to be the only Asian person in an organization? Because suddenly you become a total.
Other trans people.
So you want to? Sorry, say again.
How would you know if they have other?
I'll tell you how.
Well, you don't. But I think in the employer branding, and we talk about employer branding, we talk about the corporate ethos. We look at their website. We see what they're doing. Is it more than just pink washing? Do they have? You walk into reception, there's at least some pride lanyards, some pride lapel badges, often they've got inclusive features on their website where they're saying what they're doing. And do they have employee networks, LGBT networks? Is there buy-in from the top down? I mean, when you apply for a role these days, you don't just apply for it. You research the company. You stalk them on Twitter. You stalk them on LinkedIn. You look at who's a member. You look at what the people who are working there do. And then suddenly you see that some of the people are part of the LGBT group, or some people do this. And then you could become more assured that you're at least in the door. Whether you're good enough is another matter. Because I often say, you've got a white guy, a black woman, and a trans person. How much better does the black woman have to be than the white guy? And how much better does the trans person have to be the black woman and the white guy? So we're often not seen as the frictionless hire. We often have a bit more friction in the process because we are different. It's to say we are different. I love being different. I don't want to be the same as everybody else.
Wouldn't that be boring?
In some organisations, we're not the obvious choice. Then that's what I say. But you look at big companies, and you look at some of the major high street banks, some of the major financial institutions, some of the mobile phone. People who employ tens of thousands of people worldwide have really great D&I policies, and everybody gets a chance. And there are some websites out there that specialise in recruitment of all sorts of people, which are great. But when I apply to so-and-so, I need to know that they're going to, the process works. So is there a tick box that asks me if I'm trans? I don't want to tick that box. I just want to know, is it male, female, or other, or male, female, or different, or whatever phraseology is. Don't pry too much. But then you got things like, at certain points in my life, I didn't have my ID, my driving license, my passport, matching my identity. So how do all that anxiety? I turned up for reception. I turned up for a meeting at the Department of International Trade recently, and as Joanne, and they said, have you got any ID? I went, well, the only ID I've got doesn't have the name you've got. I said, well, my student union card work. And they went, oh, that will do, as long as it's got a photograph. So I blacked my way into a government office with a student union card. But anyway, that's another story. But often trans people may not have ID that matches. People may not decide to change their name. There's a whole load of reasons why I didn't change my name on my passport driver license for over a year. There's a lot of issues in my own life, in my own family, that made that different.
Can I just say, having got divorced, my card, I've been divorced for years, still says Mrs. because I just can't be bothered to go through the paperwork to lose the R. Just the R. They won't just remove the R. I have to prove I'm divorced to lose the R out of Mrs. I'm just like, oh. Yeah. So I'm with you. I'm with you, but it can be complicated.
DV and SC clearance, and you've got DBS checking, criminal checks, all those sort of things. And they all become very, very complicated for people whose ID, whose gender doesn't match. So companies really should, as long as they just need to be sensitive to those challenges that trans people face and be part of that solution. Say, it's not a problem, Joe. We kind of get it. It's okay. Yeah, we appreciate your name says XYZ on it, but you're known as Joe. That's fine with us. We're cool with it. And what we do is, so-and-so here is in our sensitive HR section here. She will take your passport and she'll take your driving license. She won't show the photograph. She completely understands, it's all protected, and therefore she is the only person that knows anything about your old identity. And is that okay with you? And I go, fine, okay, I trust you, because you've got a process, you've got a plan B. And I think that's what companies need to have, these procedures that handle it, but communicate that it's not just simple. Everyone has this diversity statement at the bottom of their job ads. We're open to anybody. Well, you have to. That's what the law says. How are you oozing that? What do you have video on your website showing people having a great time? Do you get your employees to promote your brand?
Can we just say there's having a good time, and there's, what is it, Audra? Don't high five in the middle of your video. No. What was that shocking video? But can I just point out, ThoughtWorks? Oh, it was awful. It was like, oh. ThoughtWorks have the most amazing blog, Career Hacks. Right in the middle of all of their technology stuff, there's one called Career Hacks, and there is a blog there, Technology Saved My Life, which is about an open trans guy that works at ThoughtWorks, just telling his story. It is so beautiful and so genuine, and that real peer-to-peer stuff, it's just absolutely gorgeous. I think that, and what you're talking about, the real genuine videos as well.
What the trans people face is, as you can probably imagine, is quite a traumatic thing. Yeah. Transitioning and being open. It's a real big deal. And anything an employer can do to make that less of a big deal. Yeah. Because if in my own particular example, wife, family, I'm still married. I've been married for 31 years. And it's been a big ask for my wife. It's been a big ask for my children, my parents, etc. So if work is also a big ask, my whole hierarchy of needs, my whole Maslow hierarchy is all sort of like destabilized. I'm now worried about everything. If I come to work and just get on with my 8 hours and be respected for who I am, and then I can go and deal with my shit at home again, then come back tomorrow and I've got a safe space. It gives me a great place that I can just, actually, I see work as somewhere I can respect and to be myself.
Where are you working? You only have to work 8 hours a day. I want to work there. Sorry, topic change.
You do 8 hours in the Far East, 8 hours in the UK, and 8 hours in the West Coast.
Apparently, it's all 8 hours.
24 hours.
It all comes back to difficult conversations, and people aren't trained to have those difficult conversations. And the ones that you've had at home are so much more difficult than the ones we possibly ever have to have with you as somebody hiring you, or you're managing you, or being a peer. It's crazy.
Yeah, and also I've had some telephone interviews, and not just telephone interviews. I've conversations with my bank and my phone company on a frequent basis, and ID verification and people just judging people by voice. And I've had I've had with recruiters and with the companies. It starts off kind of badly, sort of. They always think it's a bad wrong number, they think it's a bad line, and then by the time I actually get to the fact that it's now okay, we're now 30 seconds into the call, and it's kind of confusing for everybody, and it's like, okay, I'm just a person with a deep voice. Is that okay? But there's that confusion, and I think the person who's making the phone call just needs to say, whoever you are, is that Joanne? Yeah. And it's like, right, okay, Joanne, this is the first question. How are you doing? How's life? And what are you up to? It's like, you don't ask somebody if they've got kids. You don't ask somebody who their wife or partner is. We're not asking these questions anymore. So are you the right person? Yes, you're the right person. Let's just carry on talking.
Can you solve the problem?
I think and there's, I've turned up for interviews, and the guy comes towards you smiling, and it holds his hand out, or her hand out, to shake hands, and suddenly the eyes are all back in the head going, you're not the kind of Joanne I was expecting. And it's got that long with the coffee machine is like really strange, and so
sorry, we're having a dog problem. Right. He's been asleep right here.
In the UK, is it 95% of the working population are employed by smaller businesses? Yeah. So the large corporates kind of, I think, have it ticked. It's how do we get into the SMEs? How do we get into the 250 and below employees, where maybe people don't necessarily have HR teams, D&I teams? No. This is where 95% of the people are employed. That's where we need to put some of the effort. And that's the thing. Look at recruiters. Recruiters have a great responsibility here and a great way of helping these SMEs or the medium-sized companies that use recruitment agencies. I don't know if they're in in-house talent management, to really work on it and to position this candidate in the best possible light, not going, we won't put Joe forward because I've got to put 5 people forward and Joe's probably the one that won't get hired, so I won't put it forward.
Yeah, because that's when they want their commission, you see, isn't it?
About that. It is about that. So when do I get put forward? Well, I'm not going to get one of the 5, no matter how good I am.
Wow, what a dilemma.
Yeah, but with internal recruitment,
would never be done.
But there's kind of an advantage, like say you need more female engineers. Well, you can easily present more female engineers, where I think it's trickier in this case to try and present.
I've said to people in the past, people have targets for gender equality. We want 30% on boards, 40% on boards. We've got targets for BAME inclusion. We've got all these targets for people, but how many people have a target for more trans people or more LGBT people? Generally, they don't. So we're never going to be on the list unless you've got a positive inclusion. And no one's saying you should employ people just because they're a minority, just because they're different. At least consider people, because I would, in my experience, I'm going to be far more loyal to a company that respects me and takes me for who I am. Gives me room to be me. And if you love me and I love you, why would I want to leave? Because I know that if I have to take a risk going somewhere else, I go to a company and they may not get me. But if I'm happy here, we talk about people wanting to stay 18 months, 2 years now, and rapid turnover. But people who are looked after and respected, because maybe a difference, they're going to be a lot more loyal. They're not going to be job hopping.
Love it. But even if you did have we want this many LBG, how would you know that? So how would you can ask that? I mean, how?
Yeah, I guess they're not going to put it on their website going, we're looking for more gay people. Is that okay? We're short of lesbians this week. Actually, we could do and a gender queer person, and we haven't got enough trans men here. It's not the sort of thing people are advertising, but I spoke with a large computer-based company with 3 initials recently, and they actually dip their rod in the pool where those people exist. So rather than make it obvious that they're looking for LGBT people, they go shopping in places where LGBT people are prevalent. They network with LGBT people. They talk to LGBT people. Google has been popular. Or they hold. I saw a company recently. They had an LGBT recruitment day in Manchester. So of course, LGBT recruitment day. That means I'm going to go there. So you're going to meet people who are going to be receptive for you. So you start fishing in a pond, or you create your own pond where you're going to be, and you start looking.
Yeah.
So it's positive action. If you're looking to recruit more women, you hang out where more women occur.
Yeah.
If you're looking to recruit more men, you just go out to society at large. So it's people think there's no pipeline. There's, where's the pipeline going? Which pond are you putting in? Maybe you're looking too small a pond, or you're not looking into the ocean. So think about where people are that you want to attract.
Yeah.
And then fish in those places.
That is not going to solve. So we're going to have to chat and work this out because we've only got 5 minutes left. But that 95%, because that's going to be more education on the agency side, because they're going to be more reliant on agencies because they haven't got the time to recruit, and there's a big mess there. Yeah, that's going to be. But now, just quickly, sorry, while I've already interrupted you, I can't say his surname though, Audra, so you're going to have to tell me. Duarte? Jonathan Duarte next week. Yeah, is that how I say it? So we're going from really human to chatbots.
Totally. To the opposite, chatbots.
We're going like the other end of the.
We're going to talk about the pros, the cons, and what they're good for, what they're definitely not good for. That'll be good.
They weren't good for me the other day when I was chatting with one asking to speak to a human. Anyway, moving
definitely
on. It'll be a fun one next week as well. So.
Do you get trans chat boxes? I mean,
I want one of those. Yeah. Let's start a new one.
But you were saying, Joanne, to fish and go in those places or create your own pond. I love it. But you're right. Also, just your careers website, you could have a diversity page. And if you're showing your employees are diverse, then they're more likely to also apply and come to you. Good point.
And also, employees going to recommend other. Yeah, they're going to talent source for you. If you're motivated people with recruitment bounties, people are going to find people like them as well to help. Or they'll know where to hang out.
Particularly if they feel like they can bring them whole selves to work, particularly if it's inclusive, then they will.
Yeah.
If it's just a tick box exercise.
Yeah.
So, are there any final things you'd like to see in your final 3 minutes? It's gone so fast. It's like.
Where would people go if they want to book you to speak? Is it just go to your website, the
cchangehappen.co.uk. Drop me an email, joe.lockwood. That's jo.lockwood. at cchangehappen.co.uk. Find me on LinkedIn. That's exactly it, cchangehappen.co.uk. And if you can't work out how to contact me from there, then
you shouldn't be recruiting. It's time for a career change or some training.
I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, all the usual channels, Twitter. I'll just put my Twitter in here. So do follow me.
Easy.
So that's me on Twitter.
That's 1965.
I know.
It's like people that have that in their email addresses. It's like we're a certain generation where we used to do that.
I wanted to show I was mature.
It's quite funny. So, right. I think you need to keep keep doing what you're doing, Joanne. It's awesome at all levels. People will find more confidence to be themselves, I can guarantee. If you're not connected to Ben Gladhill, Joanne, do. He's just awesome.
Yeah, no, I think we are. Yeah. We are connected, yeah.
So cool. And Debbie's a terrific show. Thank you so much, Joanne. That was so moving. I felt like I was gaping through the whole thing. So, thank you enough for coming.
We've got the silly microphone sorted. We were quiet, haven't we? So,
and I'm super excited because you're coming to Disrupt HR under some support and speaking March as well. So I'm super excited about that. So thank you.
Yeah, so on the 4th, I'll be there.
Crazy mayhem. So I'm looking forward to that. Plus, we're doing karaoke afterwards. Just warning you. So. God help us all. Audra's done karaoke with me. That's why she's like, oh no. You're busy afterwards, are you? Got to get the train back. Sorry. Anyway, thank you, everybody. We shall see you same time next. No, wait. Sorry. Those of you in the US will be back to 10 a.m. because your clocks change this weekend. We will be back at the same time, though. The rest of us in Europe. So, bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Awesome.
Thanks again, Joanne. Bye.
Bye.